I love that song so much because, as Steve said, it takes us on a journey over the events of the Easter weekend. And it was a weekend that changed absolutely everything. And our whole kind of Christian faith revolves around Easter because Jesus' death and resurrection changes everything. And we have Good Friday, where we've explored how Jesus willingly went to the cross. And what I love is that Jesus, both fully God and fully human, had the power to fight back. He did fantastic things whilst on earth, things no human can. And so if he wanted to, he did not have to go to the cross, but he did. He humbled himself and he willingly went to die. And it wasn't a lack of power that kept him on the cross, it was love. And that was love for me, love for you, and love for us all. And then you have Saturday, and Saturday is a day that can be often overlooked. And the Saturday after Jesus died, it must have felt so confusing for those who follow Jesus. If they had slept, they probably woke up thinking, did yesterday even happen? And the man that they were so devoted to following and believed so much in was seemingly defeated. And he was dead, and they must have felt so confused and sad and angry and frustrated. They would have been grieving because he was their friend, and they were probably in a lot of shock. And the atmosphere must have felt so dark and so heavy and seemingly full of empty promises. And they might have been filled with doubt and uncertainty about everything. But we know that God was not finished yet. We knew that Sunday was coming. So we're going to have a look in the Bible and see what happened on that Sunday. So we'll be looking at Matthew 28 verses 1 to 10. So feel free to look this up for yourself, or it's also going to be on the screen. And Chris is going to come and read for us now.
So it's Matthew 28 verse 1 to 10. Jesus has risen. After the Sabbath, at dawn, on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples. He is risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the woman hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me."
Thank you so much. And we read that Jesus is alive, and because he lives, that changes everything. But what does that actually mean for us? What does that actually mean for you today? And we're going to look at 4 things this morning in light of this. And the first one is that because he lives, we have hope. Easter tells us that death does not have the final word. And the resurrection isn't just another amazing miracle that Jesus did, but it is a promise for us all. And it highlights that no situation is too big for God to handle. No person is too far gone for God to rescue, and no darkness is too dark for God's light to overcome. And when Jesus walked out of that grave, unwavering hope entered the world. And that is the hope that Christians hold on to. And we don't hold on to a hope that is changing or reliant on ourselves or anything we do, but it is a hope that is far greater than us. And it is a hope that is anchored in something much bigger and much stronger, and that is in Jesus. And so when life feels uncertain or when the future seems unclear, we can confidently trust in this hope. And the second one is because he lives, we are forgiven. And the cross and the resurrection, they go hand in hand, and it's often hard to talk about one without the other, as we've explored this morning. And that's because together they display something so powerful. On the cross, Jesus said, "It is finished." And the resurrection is like God's declaration that yes, it is finished indeed. And Jesus rising from the dead, it displays two things for us. It's our sins, all of the bad stuff that we do has been paid for, and Jesus took them from us willingly. And then that second point is that new life is available for us to freely take in exchange. And it's nothing that we do or could ever earn. It's just freely given to us. No matter our past, no matter our regrets, no matter what we carry into this room today. Because Jesus lives, you can be free. And not someday if you earn it, but today. And that brings us on to our third point. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Something a little bit about me is I am a bit of a top tier worrier. I worry about everything, I overthink everything, and when I try to face things alone, I just can't do it. And it's like I'm just sort of paralysed by all these so many options, so many outcomes. But I know that I don't have to face things alone. And the God who created the universe, who placed the stars in the sky, who knows every grain of sand on the planet, knows me by name. He knows everything about me, and he loves me, and he wants to call me his daughter, and he wants a relationship with me. And it's pretty fascinating and mind-blowing to think about. But that is what we sung about earlier, that we get to enjoy life living in his company. And with that, we can face whatever life throws at us. And when we worry about all of kind of the unknowns in life, maybe family or health or finances, the future, whatever it is, we know that we are not alone. And that's because the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is at work in us. And this means that we can kind of face fear with faith, we can face trials with courage, we can face uncertainty with peace. And not because it's easy, but because Jesus is alive and we have hope in that. And then our fourth point is because he lives, our lives have a purpose. And what happens over Easter doesn't just change our future or our eternity, it changes our life now. And we're not just here on earth by accident, we're not just here to pass time, but we are here with a purpose. Because Jesus lives, your life matters, your story matters, your calling matters. And we're invited to live differently, and with love instead of hate, with faith instead of doubt, and with purpose instead of drifting. And Easter doesn't just invite us to believe in something, it calls us to respond. New life is on offer. And one of those is baptism. And baptism isn't just a tradition, it's a response to the resurrection. It's a picture of what Easter is all about. And you kind of have that going under the water. It's kind of like that symbol of death, saying goodbye to your old life. And when you come up out of the water, it's that symbol of new life. And that's just as Jesus died and rose again. And it's like saying, I'm not just hearing this story, I'm not just sitting with this story, I'm stepping into it, I'm actively making a public declaration that I believe that Jesus died for me, I believe that he rose again, and I am choosing to follow him. And if baptism is something you'd like to explore for yourself, we'd love to walk that journey with you, and you can chat to myself or another leader in the church. We'd love to journey with you. But we have four things there. Because he lives, we have hope. Because he lives, we are forgiven. Because he lives, we can face tomorrow, and because he lives, our lives have purpose. And that changes everything, and you have a choice to make too. A choice of whether you believe that Jesus died and rose again, and whether you believe that he did that for you. And if you haven't made that decision yet, I'd love to encourage you to just go on that journey, because it can be life-changing for you. And there's a great next part in the Bible that I'd love for us to look at, and it's a great starting place if you're making that decision, and it's also just super interesting if you have made that decision. And then this is in Matthew chapter 28 verses 11 to 15. So again, you're free to look this up, but the words will also be on the screen, and Liz is going to read that for us.
While the women were on their way to Galilee, some of the guards went into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had happened. When the chief priests had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, "You are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him while we were asleep. If this report gets to the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day.
And I think it's just so interesting that the Bible does highlight how maybe some of the rumours have started over the years. And it prompts one question of, well, why would the disciples lie? Why would they do this? And I have a short video for us to watch to help us think about this. So this is a skit. It is a jokey exaggeration of if it were a hoax, if they had come up with this, how that would have or could have started. So watch that now. Thanks.
Are we all here? I need 100% participation for this to work.
Well, what's the plan?
Well, as you know, Jesus is dead. But stick with me, okay? Stick with me. I have a plan. We are going to steal his body.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. What's next?
And then we're going to tell the whole world that he rose from the dead.
Oh, you know I'm in.
I love it already.
All right, classic. Then what?
And then we're all going to get brutally murdered.
Wait, come again. Could you go over that last part real quick?
Oh, what? We get murdered. What's the problem?
I like it. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pete. I love me a good hoax as much as the next guy, right? What's in it for us? Do we all get riches, fame, and fortune first, right?
No, get this. You're going to be hated, persecuted, and reviled for the rest of your life.
Okay, guys. Okay, fellas. Look, I gotta be missing something here, right? Okay? I mean, why on earth would we do this?
And yeah, I think that's such a great question, because when you think about it logically, why on earth would they do that? What is in it for them? And it's not like they had no self-preservation. We read in the Bible that on the night that Jesus was arrested, one of his closest friends and followers, Simon Peter, he faced a moment. And for context, this is the same guy who boldly said, even if everyone else falls away, I never will. But then came the pressure, the fear, the questions, and standing in a courtyard, warming himself by a fire, Peter was asked 3 times if he knew Jesus, and 3 times he said no. He didn't just stay silent, he actively denied even knowing him. So what would change after he witnessed Jesus dying? What would happen to make him suddenly start to speak out against the crowd, to suddenly put himself out there to be hated, to be judged, and to be treated so badly? And I can think of one thing, and that is witnessing something great, like Jesus rising from the dead. And the resurrection, he turned Peter into a fearful denier, into a fearless witness. And so I'd like to add a 5th and final point to our list. And that is, because he lives, we can be sure. And when we say because he lives, we're not talking about a myth or a feeling, we're talking about something witnessed, something seen. And after the resurrection, Jesus didn't just appear to one person in one quiet moment, he appeared to many. He appeared to different people at different locations over different days. And one time this was to over 500 people. And this, especially the last one, to over 500 people, shows us that the resurrection wasn't a private event for a few select important people. It was for everyone. And it wasn't based on one person's experience. It was seen by hundreds of people, many of whom were still alive when the accounts were written that we have today. And it's not just a rumour, it's not just imagination. And I'd love to end this section with one final thought. If just one person said, I saw him, you might question it. If a handful said it, you might wonder. But hundreds of people all saying the same thing, that changes everything. And we're going to go into a short time of reflection now. And over here, there are 2 whiteboards, either with a cross in the middle. And I'd love for you to contribute to this display, because we know that Jesus is alive today and he's working in all of our lives today, and we are being transformed today. So on one side of the cross we have I was, and on the other cross side we have I am. Because Jesus lives, what is the transformation for you? Maybe you might have been full of sadness before. Maybe you felt lost. Maybe you felt overwhelmed. But because he lives, what are you now? Because of the new hope and the forgiveness and the freedom, what are you now? And you could be, maybe you're full of peace. Maybe you feel more confident in your future. Maybe you just simply feel full of joy. And whatever it is, I'd love for you to come and contribute in a minute. And if you have a word in your head and you get there and it's already written, I'd love to just encourage you to write it anyway, because it's so encouraging and it's so nice to see that God is doing similar things in our lives. And if you feel like you don't want to come and contribute and write on the board, that is absolutely fine. We're not going to make you. And during this time, a song is going to play, so you can just sit and you can listen to that and think about everything you've heard this morning. And we'll leave this display up at the ends of the service. If you want to come and read what people have written, please feel free to. And after the video ends, the worship team are going to come and lead us in our final song. And if you're still waiting to write on the board, that's absolutely fine. You can do that during the final song. So because Jesus lives, what is the transformation for you?